3 months after marrying a reformed Korean Mafia boss, I thought the chaos was finally over. Then I found out I was pregnant, and that Min-joon had been hiding something that could destroy everything we'd built. 3 weeks later, I was sitting in Min-joon's home office watching him dismantle a criminal empire via video conference calls and legal documents. It was oddly mundane. I'd expected explosions, dramatic confrontations, maybe some strategic kneecap breaking. Instead, it was just paperwork. Lots of paperwork. "This is the most boring apocalypse ever," I said, sprawled across his leather couch with a book I wasn't actually reading. He glanced up from his laptop, adjusting his glasses. "You want it to be more exciting? I can arrange a car chase." "You wear glasses now?" "I always wore glasses for computer work. You were just usually too busy getting naked to notice." "Fair point." I set down my book. "How much longer?" "2 more transfers, 1 final board meeting, and we're done. By Friday, every legitimate business will be under new ownership, every questionable venture will be someone else's problem, and I'll be officially retired from organized crime." Retired at 32. Living the dream. The dream is you making that face when you're trying not to smile. I threw a pillow at him. He caught it without looking away from his screen, which was annoyingly hot. The past 3 weeks had been surreal. During the day, Min-joon systematically dismantled his organization while I helped Hannah with kindergarten homework and learned Korean cooking from Mrs. Park. At night, after Hannah went to sleep, Min-joon and I would collapse into bed and have the kind of conversations that should have happened during our first marriage. We talked about everything. My childhood in California, his brutal upbringing in Seoul. My student loan debt, which he'd paid off without asking. We fought about that for 3 days. His guilt over the things he'd done to climb to power. My fears about being a good mother to a child I didn't give birth to. "You're already a good mother," he'd said last night, tracing patterns on my bare shoulder. "She asks for you first when she wakes up. She draws pictures of the 3 of us at school. Yesterday she told her teacher her mommy is the funniest and prettiest and can punch really good. Oh God, we need to work on her explanation of your profession. Her teacher thinks I'm in import-export. That's not technically wrong." Now, watching him type away at his empire's dissolution, I felt that same surreal disbelief. Was this really happening? Was I actually building a life with this man? My phone buzzed. Text from my mom. "When are you coming home? And who is this man Hannah keeps talking about in your emails?" I'd been keeping my parents updated, heavily edited version, about my teaching position in Seoul, and the wonderful family I'm working for. The fact that I was now essentially step-parenting my own biological daughter by my ex-husband turned current boyfriend was information they didn't need yet. Maybe ever. "Your mom?" Min-joon asked, reading my expression. "Asking when I'm coming home." "What did you tell her?" "That I'm thinking of staying in Korea long-term." "She's not thrilled." He closed his laptop. "Do you want to go back to the States? We could relocate there instead. I have contacts in New York, Los Angeles." "Min-joon, I'm not going anywhere without you and Hannah. If we're doing this whole fresh start thing, we do it together. Besides, I kind of like Seoul. The food is better than anything in California. Even your mother's cooking." "Especially my mother's cooking. Don't tell her I said that." He crossed to the couch, gently moving my legs so he could sit, then pulled them back into his lap. His hands started massaging my feet absently while he talked. "I've been thinking about where we should go," he said. "Somewhere quiet. Maybe a smaller city, or even countryside. Hannah would love having a yard, maybe some animals." "You want to become a farmer?" "I want to become boring. Spectacularly, magnificently boring." His hands moved up to my calves. "I want the most exciting part of my week to be arguing with you about whose turn it is to drive Hannah to school." That does sound boring. Can you handle boring? After all this? I looked at him, this beautiful, dangerous, complicated man who'd somehow become my entire world. With you? I think boring sounds perfect. He leaned down and kissed me, slow and sweet. I'm going to marry you again, you know. Properly this time. With your parents there, and a cake, and Hannah throwing flowers everywhere. Is that a proposal? It's a warning. I'm going to propose, and you're going to say yes, because you're already in love with me and it would be ridiculous to pretend otherwise. Your humility is truly inspiring. One of my best qualities. He kissed me again, along with my exceptional Appa. Hannah's voice echoed through the house. Amma, come see what Mrs. Park taught me. We found her in the kitchen, covered in flour, standing in front of what might generously be called cookies. They were misshapen, burnt on the edges, and absolutely perfect. We made butterfly cookies, she announced proudly. See? The wings are the burnt parts. They're beautiful, baby, I said, trying one. It was simultaneously undercooked in the middle and charred on the outside. Delicious. Minjun tried one too, his poker face impressively intact. Excellent work, princess. Very creative use of structural integrity. Hannah beamed. Can we have them after dinner? All of us together. All of us together, Minjun confirmed, ruffling her hair. Mrs. Park caught my eye and smiled, a real smile, warm and knowing. Over the past weeks, she'd gone from formal nanny to something like family. She'd even started teaching me Korean, patiently correcting my terrible pronunciation while we cooked. Mrs. Park, I said in halting Korean, thank you for taking care of my daughter. Her eyes got misty. It's my honor, Ms. Chun. She's a special child. You both are very lucky. That night, after dinner and burnt butterfly cookies and a bath time that involved more water on the floor than in the tub, we tucked Hannah into bed together. Story time, she demanded. What story do you want? I asked, settling on one side of her bed while Minjun took the other. Tell me the story about how you and Appa met. Minjun and I exchanged glances over her head. Well, I started. Your Appa walked into a bar where I was working. And your Amma insulted my pickup line within 30 seconds, Minjun continued. Because it was a terrible pickup line. It was smooth. It was cheesy. Hannah giggled, delighted by our bickering. And then what? She prompted. And then, Minjun said softly, I knew I'd found something special. Someone who wasn't afraid of me. Someone who made me laugh. And I knew I'd found someone interesting, I added. Even if he was a little bit dangerous. A little bit? Minjun raised an eyebrow. Okay, a lot bit. But the good kind of dangerous. The kind that protects people he loves. Hannah yawned. Do you love each other? So much, we said in unison. Good. Because I love you both. Her eyes were already closing. And I think we should get a dog. Like Appa said. We'll see, Minjun said, but his tone suggested we'd be getting a dog. She fell asleep within minutes. We stayed there for a while, just watching her breathe, both of us afraid to move and break the perfect moment. Finally, Minjun whispered, she's asleep. We can go. But neither of us moved. I keep thinking this is going to fall apart, I admitted quietly. That it's too good to be real. It's real. I'm making sure it's real. He reached across Hannah's sleeping form and took my hand. Every day I choose this. Choose you. Choose us. Even when I'm annoying. Especially when you're annoying. We eventually extracted ourselves from Hannah's room and made our way to Minjun's bedroom, which had essentially become our bedroom over the past weeks, though I still kept clothes in the guest room for appearance's sake. Minjun's phone buzzed as we were getting ready for bed. He checked it, and his entire posture changed. What's wrong? It's done. The final transfer went through. As of right now, I have no ownership stake in any questionable enterprises. I'm officially, he looked up at me, something like wonder on his face. I'm free. I crossed to him and wrapped my arms around his waist. How does it feel? Terrifying. Like I just jumped off a cliff and I'm not sure there's water at the bottom. There's water. I'm the water. Very metaphorical and supportive water. He laughed, pulling me closer. You're terrible at metaphors. One of my many flaws. I love your flaws. He kissed the top of my head. All of them. Even the one where you steal the blankets at night. I do not steal blankets. You absolutely steal blankets. Last night I woke up in the Arctic while you were wrapped like a burrito. That's because you're a human furnace and I overheat. We were still bickering when we fell into bed, which somehow led to kissing, which led to significantly less bickering and significantly more appreciation for each other's many positive qualities. Later, breathless and tangled together, Min-jun said, I have something for you. If it's more energy, I'm going to need a minute. He laughed and reached into his nightstand, pulling out a small velvet box. My heart stopped. Min-jun. It's not what you think. Not yet. He opened it. Inside was a simple silver ring with 3 tiny stones. Emerald, diamond, and sapphire. Our birthstones. Yours, mine, and Hannah's. I had it made last week. I couldn't breathe. It's beautiful. It's a promise that when I do propose, and I will, you'll already know what my answer is to every question that matters. We're family. The 3 of us. No matter what comes next. He slid it onto my right hand, and I stared at it through tears. I'm going to say yes, I told him. When you ask. Whenever you ask. The answer is yes. Good to know. But I'm still planning something elaborate. You don't have to. Zoe, I married you in a courthouse with random witnesses because I was impulsive and selfish and didn't want to give you time to reconsider. This time, I'm doing it right. With your parents' blessing and a ceremony, and probably Hannah coaching me on the proposal because she has opinions about romance. She's 5. She's already planning our wedding. Apparently there need to be butterflies. Many butterflies. I laughed through tears. Of course there do. We fell asleep like that, wrapped around each other, the promise ring catching moonlight from the window. I woke up around 3 a.m. to Min-jun's side of the bed empty. Panic hit first, old habits from the dangerous weeks, but then I heard water running in the bathroom. I padded over and found him leaning against the sink, staring at his reflection. Hey, I said softly. You okay? He looked up, and I saw tracks of tears on his face. Min-jun. I moved closer. What's wrong? I was just thinking about my mother, he said quietly. She died when I was 12. Car accident. My father. He wasn't a good man. After she was gone, there was no one to protect me from him. From the life he was grooming me for. I took his hand, saying nothing, just listening. I swore I'd never be like him. Never bring a child into this world. And then Hannah happened. He smiled, but it was sad. When they told me they'd found a genetic match for an embryo, your eggs, my sperm from a donation I'd made years ago for money, I almost said no. I thought I'd ruin her like my father ruined me. But you didn't. No. Because the second I held her, I knew. I knew I'd do anything, become anyone, to give her a different life than I had. He turned to me. And then you came along. And suddenly I had a reason to actually leave. To be better. You gave me that, Zoe. You gave me hope that I could be more than what I was made to be. I pulled him into my arms, and he buried his face in my neck. You're nothing like your father, I whispered. You're kind and loving and you make terrible jokes when you're nervous. You're a good man, Min-jun. Not because you left the organization. You were good before that. You just couldn't see it. We stood there in the bathroom, holding each other, until the tears stopped. Come back to bed, I said finally. Tomorrow we can start planning our boring life. He smiled, real and bright. Our spectacularly boring life. 2 months later. I can't believe you rented out an entire butterfly conservatory, I said, staring at the thousands of butterflies fluttering around us. Hannah said our wedding needed butterflies. Min-jun adjusted his tie, charcoal gray, perfectly tailored. I merely delivered on her vision. She's going to be impossible after this. You know that, right? She was already impossible. She gets it from you. I would have argued, but I was too busy trying not to cry while watching my parents walk toward us, both of them beaming. They'd flown in last week, and the introduction had been interesting. "So you're the teacher who left California to work for a family in Seoul?" my dad had said, shaking Minjun's hand with slightly too much force. "Actually, sir, I'm the family. And also, I'd like your permission to marry your daughter. Again. Since I apparently didn't ask the first time." My mother had cried. My father had interrogated Minjun for 2 hours. By the end of it, Minjun had won them over completely, mostly by showing them videos of Hannah and promising they could visit whenever they wanted. Now, standing in a conservatory full of butterflies with my parents, my daughter, and the man I loved, I felt like I'd somehow stumbled into someone else's fairy tale. "Ready?" Minjun asked, offering his arm. "Are you?" "I've been ready since the night you told me my pickup line was garbage." The ceremony was small, just family and a few of Minjun's former associates who'd helped him exit the organization safely. Mrs. Park was there, crying openly. Jay stood as Minjun's best man, looking uncomfortable in a suit. And Hannah was our flower girl, wearing a yellow dress covered in butterflies, taking her job extremely seriously. When the officiant asked if anyone objected, Hannah raised her hand. The entire room froze. "Yes, Hannah." The officiant asked carefully. "I just wanted to say that Amma and Appa are very in love, and also we're getting a dog next week. His name is Mochi. Thank you." She sat down, satisfied with her announcement. The room erupted in laughter. "Any other objections?" the officiant asked, smiling. Silence. Then, by the power vested in me. When Minjun kissed me, butterflies swirled around us like a living tornado of color. Hannah cheered. My mother sobbed. My father tried very hard not to cry and failed. It was perfect. Absolutely perfect. The reception. Speech. Someone called as we cut the cake. Minjun stood, pulling me up with him. "Most of you know my story. What I was. What I did. Some of you worked for me. Some of you worked against me. All of you know I wasn't a good man." The room went quiet. But then I met Zoe, and she had the audacity to not be impressed by anything about me except my terrible sense of humor. Laughter rippled through the crowd. She made me want to be better. Not for power or money or reputation, but because she deserved someone who was worth loving. And our daughter, he looked at Hannah, who was stealing frosting from the cake, deserved a father who came home at night instead of hiding in shadows. He turned to me. "You saved me, Zoe-chan. Not from my enemies. From myself. And I'm going to spend every single boring day of our boring life proving I'm worthy of that gift." I was definitely crying now. That's the least boring speech I've ever heard. Give me time. I'll get more boring. I'm counting on it. We kissed again, to applause and wolf whistles. Later, during the dancing, my father pulled Minjun aside. I pretended not to watch, but I definitely watched. "You hurt my daughter again. I don't care how many security guards you have," my dad said quietly. "Understood, sir. Though I should mention, your daughter can throat punch someone unconscious now. So I'm more afraid of her than your threats." My dad laughed. "Good. Keep it that way." As the party wound down, Hannah fell asleep on a chair, clutching her flower basket. Minjun scooped her up, and we walked out together into the Seoul night. A car was waiting. Not an armored SUV, just a regular sedan. We'd left the compound 2 weeks ago, moved into a normal house in a quiet neighborhood. No guards. No panic rooms. Just us. "How does it feel?" I asked as we drove home. "Being officially, legally boring?" "Ask me in 20 years. 20 years? That's a long time." "Not nearly long enough." He reached over and laced his fingers through mine. "I'm going to need at least 50 to get tired of you." 50 years of me stealing blankets and making terrible jokes? Sounds perfect. And somehow, impossibly, it was. 6 months later. I stood in our bathroom, staring at 2 pink lines, my heart racing. This wasn't supposed to happen. We'd been careful. Well, Mostly careful. Okay, sometimes careful. The door opened and Min-jun walked in, still half asleep. Morning. Why are you awake so? He saw my face. What's wrong? I held up the test. He blinked at it. Then blinked again. Is that? Yeah. Are we? Yeah. He sat down hard on the edge of the tub. Wow. That's one word for it. How do you feel? I considered. Terrified? Excited? Completely unprepared? I feel like our boring life just got significantly less boring. He started laughing. Actually laughing, shoulders shaking, eyes bright with tears. What's so funny? Nothing. Everything. He pulled me into his lap. We're having a baby. A planned by accident baby. That we get to raise from the beginning. Together. You're not freaked out? Oh, I'm terrified. But also, he pressed his hand to my still flat stomach. Also, I'm the happiest I've ever been. You, me, Hannah, and now this. Our family. Our spectacularly unboring family. I thought we agreed on boring. We were delusional. We're never going to be boring. He kissed me, soft and sweet. I'm okay with that. From down the hall, Appa. Mochi peed on the carpet again. Min-jun sighed. I'll get the carpet cleaner. I'll tell Hannah she's going to be a big sister. Not yet. Let's wait until. Appa. Are you making another baby? Because Jinae's mom is pregnant and Jinae says it's very loud and uncomfortable. We stared at each other. She has your hearing, I said. She has your timing, he countered. We walked out together to face our daughter, our dog, and the urine-soaked carpet. And I thought this chaos, this love, this perfectly imperfect life, this is everything I never knew I wanted. The Korean Mafia boss who'd signed divorce papers for $3 million? He was mine. The DNA results that had collapsed everything? They'd built something better. And the woman who'd once run away to New York? She'd finally found home. Because I need you to drop a comment right now telling me if this story delivered. Did you make it all the way to the end? Are you Team Min-jun? Do you want a sequel about Hannah as a teenager dealing with her parents' chaotic love story? Hit that subscribe button if you want more mafia romance with actual happy endings. Smash the like if you're tired of toxic alphas and want more men who go to therapy and learn to communicate. You're the real MVPs. Every single one of you. Thank you for taking this ride with me. See you in the next story. 2 hearts.